We are stepping into a world today that feels, it feels both ancient and incredibly modern.
Absolutely.
We have a source here called Chasing Death, episode '07, Pharaoh Zenon. And on the surface, sure, it's a story about ancient Egypt.
Right, about 3,400 years ago.
Exactly. But the themes are just timeless. We're talking religious revolution, misinformation as a weapon, and the fragility of a peaceful ruler in a really violent system.
It's a perfect case study, really. It shows you the danger of radical ideas.
So that's our mission for this deep dive,
Yeah.
to unpack how one single decision, a theological one, can almost bring an entire empire to its knees.
And usually when you look at Egyptian history, what you see is continuity. It's stone, sand, silence, stability
Yeah.
for millennia.
Yeah, it's very static.
But this source, it drops us right into a fracture point. The whole machinery of the state has just, ground to a halt. And it's because the man at the top, Pharaoh Zenon, has decided to change the fundamental rules of existence.
Okay, so let's set that scene before we get into the politics of it all. The source describes the atmosphere so vividly.
Oh, it does.
We're in Thebes. It is hot. There's this heavy, oppressive heat just hanging over the city, and the Nile is like the only thing offering any kind of relief.
And the tension isn't just the weather.
Not at all. It's social. The temples are quiet. The idols are gone. And the man responsible for all this is a kid, really. He's 22, maybe 23 years old, and he just inherited the throne from a monster.
That contrast is so important. The previous pharaoh, his brother Malik, was a tyrant in the truest sense of the word.
Real monster.
He ruled through pure terror, signing death warrants for children, crushing any dissent. So when he dies and Zenon takes over, everyone just assumes, okay, things will go back to normal.
But Zenon is a completely different kind of disruptor. He isn't cruel, not at all, but he is uncompromisingly pious.
Gentle is how he's described, almost unattached to the world.
Yeah, he frees slaves, he does his own chores, he even marries his brother's widow, Queen Oria, to protect her.
Well,
But then he does the one thing nobody could have predicted.
he walks into those massive temples in Thebes, temples to the sun, to fire, snakes, lightning.
The bedrock of their entire culture.
And he just shuts them down. He bans the worship of idols completely.
To really get the gravity of this, you have to look past the theology for a second and look at the economy.
Exactly.
In ancient Egypt, the temple wasn't just a church. It was the bank, it was the granary, it was the largest employer in the kingdom. The priests controlled the wealth.
So when Zenon declares that the sun and the lightning are just creations, not gods themselves, and he preaches this single formless creator,
Yeah.
he isn't just hurting the priests' feelings.
Yeah.
He is bankrupting them. He is dismantling the entire infrastructure of the elite class.
And the source points out that he built this new sanctuary in Karnak that was just shocking to people because it was empty.
Right. No golden calves, no statues.
Just an open space facing the sky. It's a beautiful idea, worshiping the creator directly, but politically. It's suicide. You can't just fire the entire priesthood and expect them to, go quietly?
And that's where the source really shifts. It goes from being this sort of historical account to a full-on political thriller.
Really does.
You've got these displaced powers, the priests, and they are desperate. I mean, their entire livelihood depends on the people believing that a stone statue needs to be fed and clothed.
And Zenon has starved that beast.
Of course. And where there's that kind of discontent, there is always an opportunist just waiting in the wings to harness it.
Enter Zayn. What a fascinating character. He's not some religious fanatic.
I don't know that.
He's the commander-in-chief of the army. He's a soldier. But he's watching this chaos unfold, and he just sees a straight line to the throne.
And the source details this secret meeting he has. It's between Zayn and the high priest, Varric.
Oh, this scene. The setting alone just drips with corruption. It's not in some war room.
No. It's in a secluded vineyard, hidden away by grapevines, and Zayn is sitting on a throne made of statuario marble.
A marble throne in a vineyard. It just says it all.
It really underscores the kind of decadence they're trying to protect, but the dialogue in that scene, it's a masterclass in manipulation.
He doesn't just come out and say, I want to be king.
No. He starts by faking religious outrage. He says to Varric, look at what he's doing to the gods of our forefathers. We have to restore their lost honor. He's speaking Varric's language.
He's trying to frame a coup d'etat as a holy war.
But Varric's too cynical for that, isn't he? The source is clear. The high priest sees right through him.
He does. He asks him point blank, essentially, are you doing this for the gods or are you doing this for the crown?
And Zayn lies. Of course he lies. He claims he just wants the hymns to come back. But here's the real insight. Varric knows he's lying.
He doesn't care.
He accepts the alliance anyway. It's a transaction. Varric needs the idols back to get his income flowing again, and Zayn needs the church's authority to legitimize his power grab.
It's the classic pact. The sword and the altar.
They don't have to like each other, they just have to hate Zenon.
So the deal is struck. But they have a big problem. The army, the actual soldiers on the ground, they love Zenon.
Right. He raised their pay, he treats them with respect.
So Zayn can't just order them to march on the palace. They wouldn't do it. So he comes up with this strategy that is, honestly, it's terrifyingly modern. It's pure psychological warfare.
It's a two-pronged attack. First, he buys their loyalty with luxury, double rations, new houses along the Nile. He makes them comfortable.
Right.
But then comes the twist. He starts a rumor that all this money isn't a reward from a grateful state. It's a bribe from a guilty king.
It's gaslighting on a national scale.
That's exactly what it is. The story he plants is that the gods are furious with Zenon, and the king is desperately trying to pay off the soldiers to protect himself from divine wrath.
So he turns the king's own generosity into a sign of guilt. The king is only paying you because he's scared of the gods. It completely undermines Zenon's authority without Zayn ever having to say a single word against him in public.
It's brilliant. And it's working. The king is becoming more and more isolated.
Yeah, the priests are against him, the army is slowly being turned against him, and he has absolutely no idea.
None. He's in the palace praying, thinking he's leading this great spiritual revolution while the sharks are circling.
But there is one person who isn't buying the propaganda. And this is where we finally meet our protagonist, Zayn. He's a humble herbalist, lives a simple life, but he has this huge secret that just frames his entire perspective on this. He's actually the queen's long-lost son, a survivor from the previous tyrant's purge.
So he's watching this whole political game from the sidelines, and he spots the lie.
He's the counterweight to Zayn. They were even childhood friends, which just adds this whole other layer of personal tragedy to the conflict.
And Zayn decides to do something about it. He goes to Zaren's home, supposedly for dinner, but it's a recon mission. He needs to know how deep this rot actually goes.
That dinner scene is so tense. I mean, you have these two men breaking bread. One is plotting to kill the king, the other is trying to save him, and both of them are pretending to be someone they're not.
Zayn puts on this whole act.
He does. He pretends to be this worried citizen, lamenting the loss of the idols, saying things like, "Oh, havoc will be wreaked, Zayn. What are we all going to do?" He's baiting him.
And Zayn, who's arrogant, confident in his position, he takes the bait. He admits havoc will be wreaked.
But just for a second, because when Zayn pushes him, when he asks, "So what's the solution?" Zayn he catches himself.
His instincts kick in. The source describes it perfectly. He realizes he's talking to a civilian, or so he thinks.
And he shuts down, just claims he's just a soldier. And that's silence. That's louder than any confession could ever be. Zayn leaves that dinner knowing this isn't just about political maneuvering anymore. If Zayn had a political solution, he would have bragged about it. The secrecy means one thing.
Violence. Zayn realizes there's an assassination plot in motion.
This realization just haunts him. And the source transitions here, the whole atmosphere shifts. It gets very quiet.
Zayn can't sleep. He's just consumed by this anxiety. So he grabs his bow and quiver for protection against wild animals, supposedly, and goes for a walk along the Nile just to clear his head.
I mean, we have to just dwell on this setting for a moment because the source paints it so beautifully.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's late. The heat is finally broken. The Nile is described as a colossal mirror, just perfectly still, reflecting all the stars.
Yeah.
It is this moment of absolute silence in a kingdom that is just screaming with tension.
And he's walking through the dunes, totally alone, when he sees a figure in the distance.
It's the king, Pharaoh Zenon. The source explains that this was his custom. He'd leave the suffocation of the palace to go worship his formless god under the open sky.
He's out there on a prayer carpet, kneeling in the sand, completely exposed, no guards, no retinue.
Just a man in his faith.
Zayn recognizes him and he stops. He just sits on a piece of driftwood and watches. There's something hypnotic about seeing the most powerful man in the world make himself so vulnerable.
But then that tranquility just shatters. Zayn spots a shadow, a movement in the dunes behind the king.
And it's not an animal. The movement is described as having a predatory caution.
It's an assassin, sent by Zayn. This is it. This is the culmination of the whole conspiracy. Zayn knew the king's habits. He knew this was the one moment Zenon would be completely unprotected.
Tension here is just excruciating. You have the king, his forehead on the ground in prayer.
You have the assassin creeping closer, pulling a dagger from a leather sheath.
And you have Zayn sitting in the dark with a bow.
Think about what's going through Zayn's head in this moment. He's an herbalist, he's not a soldier. He's watching his childhood friend's murder plot unfold in real time.
The stakes are unbelievable. If he shoots and misses, he reveals himself. If he hits the king by accident in the dark, he's a regicide. I mean, the technical difficulty of that shot at night, in the shadows, with all that adrenaline, it's almost impossible.
The assassin raises the dagger. He is just feet away from the Pharaoh's back. Zayn doesn't shout a warning. He doesn't run.
He just stands.
Knocks the arrow, draws, and releases.
And the arrow strikes the assassin square in the back. He just drops, instantly, dead before he even hits the sand.
And the silence returns. It's such a jarring shift.
Yeah.
1 second, it's imminent death, and the next, it's just the wind.
Zenon finishes his prayer. He stands up, turns around, and sees a dead man with a dagger at his feet.
And a stranger standing in the dunes holding a bow.
The interaction that happens next tells you everything you need to know about Zenon's character. A normal ruler would be screaming for the guards or panicking.
Not Zenon. He looks at the body, he looks at Zayn, and he just interprets the entire event through his theology.
When Zayn approaches and gives the triple salute, Zenon says, "God wished to save me, so he sent you." He doesn't praise Zayn's aim.
No, he praises the divine providence that put Zayn there in that exact moment.
He then tells Zayn, name your price, offers him anything. Gold, titles, land.
And Zayn, who is technically a prince in hiding, asks for nothing.
Which is a brilliant strategic move. By asking for nothing, he proves his loyalty is pure. He's not a mercenary.
But Zenon insists. He finds out Zayn is an herbalist and appoints him royal herbalist right there on the spot. Gives him a signet ring.
And here is the real deep dive twist. The source reveals that Zayn didn't want the title for the prestige.
No.
He wanted it because the royal herbalist has unrestricted access to the palace, specifically to the women's quarters. He needs to get to Queen Aria.
His mother. He needs to warn her. He knows killing one assassin didn't stop the plot.
Not at all. Zayn is still the commander-in-chief. The conspiracy is still very much active. All Zayn did was buy the king a few more days.
And the scene just ends. The Pharaoh rides back to the palace in his chariot, believing a miracle saved him.
While Zayn just disappears back into the night, before Zaren's men can arrive to clean up the mess.
It creates this terrifying, dramatic irony. The king feels safe now. He's wrapped up in his faith.
But Zayn is going to find that body. He's going to see that arrow, and he is going to realize that someone knows. The assassination didn't fail because of bad luck. It failed because of a marksman.
So Zayn is now going to be hunting for an archer.
Exactly. And Zayn is walking right into the lion's den with his new job title.
The arrow in the dark saved the king, but it also declared war.
The first shot has been fired, but the enemy doesn't know who fired it. Not yet.
Which brings us all the way back to that initial idea, the fragility of power. Zenon has the crown, but he has no real control.
The institutions, the army, the church, they all failed him. The only thing that worked was the individual conscience of one man in the dark.
It seems to be the lesson here, doesn't it? When the systems of the state are corrupted, when the banks and the generals all turn against the truth, history so often turns on the smallest of pivots.
A sleepless night, a walk by the river, a single arrow.
But the danger hasn't passed. It's just evolved. Zayn has the ring now, but Zayn still has the army. And so we leave the story there. The king is safe for tonight.
But there is a storm gathering for the morning. A storm that is likely to break sooner rather than later.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the heretic king and the arrow in the dark. It's a reminder to keep your eyes open, especially when it's dark.
And remember that the quietest moments can often determine the loudest outcomes.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.